Pardon this brief interruption. I just wanted the folks that are watching to know that the Michael Jordan hierarchy posters are still available. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out the Michael Jordan hierarchy playlist on this very channel. You won't be disappointed. These posters are incredible. Over 400 have been sold. Here is an image of what the front of that poster looks like. It's branded, it's high definition, it's glossy. It's got images of well over 300 of Michael Jordan's best cards separated into tiers. Many people are using this as sort of a guideline, sort of a checklist on how they want to collect Michael Jordan basketball cards. And on the back of the poster, maybe the best kept secret, is one of the largest Michael Jordan pack odds pack odds lists in the entire world. Guys, the posters are available, over 400 sold. I have plenty of them in inventory. All of the details on how you can order these posters are included in the YouTube description to this and every video that you see on the Cajun Cardboard YouTube channel. Hey guys, Bryan with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, and I've got a recurring guest and one of my very best friends in the hobby and one of my mentors in the hobby, Frankie Gonzalez, Frankie 3500 on Instagram. Frankie, thanks for finally you and me tying it down and getting you on the channel, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's a pleasure to be back. Always enjoy the show. So
Frankie is coming to us from Puerto Rico. So Frankie's in Puerto Rico and I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I can't think of any two places that are more different, but we got no excuse. Like, you should be on here more because we're only one time zone away. You know, it's not like you're in Kazakhstan, you know, you're right there. You're just a little south of us, right? In Puerto Rico. Frankie and I are often sharing storm stories because as a storm, right, as a hurricane comes through, Frankie usually gives me the heads up. Hey, this one sucked really bad. Just get ready. And here it comes to, you know, to Louisiana, to Texas, South Louisiana. So it's kind of funny. And we're always checking on each other to make sure that our houses are still standing and our Jordan cards are all still safe. Frankie's got a ton of stuff that he can share with us today. We're generally speaking topics today on this collector spotlight. We're going to talk with Frankie about being about collecting cards in Puerto Rico. What challenges does that pose? What advantages, if any? What disadvantages, if any? Then Frankie is also a very large local card shop owner in Puerto Rico. We kind of want to talk about that because I don't think I've ever had a local card shop owner on the channel to really kind of peg questions at. And then, of course, we're going to talk about Jordan stuff. And recently, Frankie, I think you've been either submitting tons of stuff to PSA to kind of push forward on the PSA set registry, which we're going to screen share and talk a lot about. But you've also been, I think, either cracking and resubbing to PSA from BGS to PSA and other companies to PSA, and or maybe just submitting to crossover. So we want to talk about that stuff. And then at the end, we'll just talk about Jordan cards, man, because that's really what we want to talk about all the time anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
That's good on a daily basis.
Every day we share stuff. We share new stuff in chats. We share new stuff in text messages. So this is everyday stuff for us.
Let's do this. Let's just start with, for those of you who are new to the channel or I haven't met Frankie, don't know Frankie. Frankie, kind of just give us your very brief, because it could be a long one because you've got a long history in the hobby. You grew roots, man. So give us your brief history in the hobby, when it got started, what your first passion was, and how you got to where you are today as not only a passionate collector in the truest sense of the word, but also a local card shop owner. Those two things don't usually stay together. Like, if you're a passionate collector and you open a business, you start to get desensitized and you start to think of, you know, moving widgets and dollars and profits and losses and things like that. But you have retained that identity, and you're somebody that I look up to, you know, for a lot of that. That's a lot of the reason I do look up to you, is because you're as knowledgeable and passionate as anybody out there. Take us through your brief history, man. Tell us what it's about.
So I started collecting basketball cards in 1992. So needless to say, Michael Jordan was the best player, and it still is. But Jordan was basically at the top of his game. He was just coming up out of his second championships. The NBA was in a really good spot. We had Shaquille O'Neal coming into the league, so there was also a lot of hype with him. And I basically started buying $1 Topps packs at KB Toys. And before long, it's been 33 years of collecting after that.
Believe it. Yeah.
And yeah, I can't believe it. To me, it seems like it's been yesterday. I always stayed collecting Jordan cards. So a lot of my collections that you're going to see It's basically a collection that's been hoarded for over 30 years. I usually got a copy of the card, and once I got that copy of the card, I just kept it for the past 30 years.
Yeah.
It's been quite an interesting journey, definitely collecting. I mean, I've seen the evolution of the hobby going from all the hype in the 90s. We had a lot of local stores back then. The hobby was very good, especially baseball was also very big in the 90s, especially the early 90s. And I saw the hobby then kind of dwindle down a little bit on the 2000s. It kind of consolidated a little bit. And then the pandemic boom, and 2025 shows no signs of slowing down. I
Yeah.
mean, it's insane right now.
Tell me, when you were buying these cards back in 1992 from KB Toys, because I was doing the exact same thing from probably the exact same store and those types of stores. What were you? I was putting mine in a 3x3, plastic binder, right, with a spiral bound binder. What were you keeping your cards in? Were you ahead of the game? Were you like penny sleeves and top loaders, or were you doing what I
Oh
was doing?
no.
You were sliding them into binders just like all the rest of us, I'm assuming.
I had binders. I had for the really good cards back then, which was probably a Topps Gold Michael Jordan or a Topps Gold
Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal rookie. We used a really thick 4 screw downs.
Yes.
They were like,
hopefully recessed, but probably not.
no, the first ones weren't recessed.
Right.
So, it was, we didn't know we were doing more damage to the cards back then than actually protecting them. So,
Yeah.
but still, I usually kept most of my bulk. For example, do you remember the upper deck lockers?
Oh yeah, the locker box. Yeah. The
Locker.
little. They almost look like an obelisk, like a
Yeah.
rectangle, stand up
So
rectangle. Looks like a
I had
locker.
a ton of those filled with cards where I kept
Yeah.
the commons and stuff like that.
Yeah. Those are not PSA 10s anymore, Frankie.
Oh no, definitely. They're
Throwing
not
them loose in
definitely
there.
they're not
Yeah.
definitely PSA 5s right now. So
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's exciting, man. So you started right in the height of Dream Team, and I'll never forget
yeah.
it, man. It does feel like it was yesterday. I can't believe, we get insulted when people are like, I didn't know you collect vintage cards from the 90s. And I'm like, no, dude, it's not vintage
No.
cards, it's 90s, right? We kind of have this, we're like in denial that it's not been 33 years, but to a random, late 20 something, 30-year-old, it's like, no, that's vintage, dad. We're in denial, man. But I'm the same way. I started in baseball. Is baseball first in Puerto Rico still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Like a
We have
distant first, like by far.
it is. I would say it is by far, mainly because our history of baseball players from Puerto Rico is very, very rich.
Yeah.
We have starting with Roberto Clemente, and during the 90s, we actually had a very solid class of baseball players. We had Ivan Rodriguez, Juan Gonzalez. We had Roberto Alomar, who's also a Hall of Famer. Edgar Martinez, who is also a Hall of Famer. So we had a very solid class during the 90s in baseball. So baseball here was going to be first.
Yeah, I feel I remember Roberto Alomar. He was a fantasy god. He was everything, dude. Every once in a while, he'd hit a ding or two. He had pretty decent power, but like he had your stolen bases, he had your runs, he had your walks, he had your hits, he had your batting average. Man, he could do it all, and he was a slick fielder as well. And his brother Sandy Alomar Jr. was a huge time. He was a huge prospect. He was 89 for sure. I know that. I think Roberto was 88, which was a horrible year for baseball cards, and then Sandy Alomar was 89 when all hell broke loose, and everybody wanted that. Right, 89 was a big year for the obvious reasons. Ken Griffey was in that year as well.
The Ken Griffey rookie redefined basically collecting for the early 90s.
It really did. It really did. That's exciting, man. And so you've got some OG Jordan stuff. Like some of the Jordan cards that are in your collection, they have literally been in your possession for 33 years.
Yep.
That's wild.
Most of the cards have been with me for a long, long time. I've seen some of the cards go from being worth like $100 back then in the 90s to crashing down to $30 and then suddenly skyrocket all the way to $500 to $1,000. It's been a roller coaster.
Yeah. All right. Tell me about your card shop. Tell me about your local card shop in Puerto Rico. First of all, how many card shops are in Puerto Rico? And then tell me about your shop and what's going on there now and the name of it and everything. And let's get word out just in case somebody's coming down there for vacation or for business or whatever. I want them to make sure they come and see you.
So right now we're the only shop that's actually fully dedicated to sports cards and collecting in general. The perspective and the view that I gave the shop was basically we want to focus on collecting. So the name of the store naturally is collections. While we do focus a lot on sports cards, we also work with coins, with comics. We have vintage toys. We have newer toys like Funko Pops and stuff like that. So we really try to give the shop a focus of collecting, but not just being specific to one thing. Of course, my main is always going to be, sports cards. And right now we have the biggest inventory of local singles in the island. And we also are growing the shop sealed products offering. We last year we recently got approved for a Fanatics Tops account, direct account. So
Good.
that was a big achievement. We're the first store here in Puerto Rico to be an official Tops Fanatics store. So it was definitely a huge step forward. We also recently had this past Saturday the Tops Rib Night. It was the first time it was celebrated here in Puerto Rico. We had over 200 people attend.
That's big time.
The,
Tell me about that.
yeah.
Tell me about that event, what it means. I hear the term, and I've heard the term before. Tell me what it means. What exactly happens for somebody who's never attended one?
Yeah, you should attend one. It's really fun. It's basically a celebration where we invite collectors and customers to not only buy stuff at the shop, but also to actually open them. We do a ton of giveaways. We gave away T-shirts. We gave away over 400 different baseball packs to those in attendance. We did giveaways and contests, and it's really, really fun. You get to meet new collectors. You get to meet old collectors. And I would say that was basically the best thing that I got out of the event. I was able to bring old collectors that I know that have been collecting here in the island for several decades with the younger crowd,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
watching them interact, watching them share their perspective, and teach each other about the hobby, about why you should always look for number cards or for autograph cards, and stuff like that. It was really, really fun. I think it was an event that it's one of the best that I've done here on the shop.
Do you personally, do you ever open packs? Do you ever rip wax? I never hear you talk about it. I don't
I
know if you do
do.
or not. If you do, you're doing it in the
Yeah.
shadows and you're ashamed to admit it. You're ashamed to admit it.
Yeah, I do. I do open a little bit of packs every now and then.
Yeah.
I mainly collect 90s stuff, Jordan cards, and basically my second PC guy is Dr. J. So I usually just buy what I want
Wait, it's
on
who? Who's your
singles.
second one?
Dr. J.
Oh, Dr. J. Yeah, yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's not a lot of incentive for me to actually open new wax, but
Yeah.
I do like to open it at the shop to show people how
Yeah.
the cards look. I'll do an opening video, post it on my social media for the shop, and show people the cards. Like, this is what they look like. This is what you can pull. Stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I rarely keep any of those cards right now because I'm not into any of the new players right now.
Yeah. I'm always fascinated with guys like you, honestly, who collect baseball, basketball, multiple players from different generations. You've got to understand Pokemon. You're talking about Funko
Yeah.
Pops, for God's sakes. You're talking about ultra modern wax. You need to be able to tell people, here's what the chase is here. My brain's too small, man. And I know you're full time, but I don't think even if I was full time, I would be able to wrap my brain around all of the different facets of the hobby. I really, really stay in a little microcosm here of collecting, primarily 90 stuff. Every once in a while I'll venture, but I never really leave the sport other than to touch soccer. How's soccer in Puerto Rico, by the way? Anything down there?
Yeah,
Is it
it's
starting to
very
move a little
popular.
bit?
Yeah, it's very popular down here.
Good.
I would
Okay, good.
I would say the slowest sports we have, well, obviously hockey, because we just don't identify it with the sport,
Sure.
And the second sports, we do get a lot of requests for it, some requests for it. It's gonna be NFL,
Yeah.
American football.
Okay.
But soccer is very big down here, and the community is growing a lot for soccer. So
That's good. So tell me about your collection. Let's talk about this collector spotlight. Let's shine a spotlight on the stuff that you collect. I know you are very deep into Dr. J stuff, including autographs and memorabilia stuff. But tell me, I know you're a big set registry guy as well, which is foreign to me. And maybe we can get a little education here today. And we're going to screen share and look at the set registry, and we'll talk through some of that. Talk to me about your Michael Jordan collection, sort of where you're at right now. Your short-term goals, your long-term goals. Just sort of talk us through it. Let us know who you are and where you fit kind of as a Michael Jordan collector. And let me preface it by saying the dude on the screen, not me, the other guy right here in Puerto Rico, has a massive quantity of he has quality too, but he's got a massive quantity of Michael Jordan cards out there that makes a lot of us very, very jealous. That's all I'll say. I'll let you take it from here. Tell us who you are as a Jordan collector.
So basically, the Jordan collection right now stands at just over 5,000 different cards. It's been 33 years in the making, and I'm not stopping. I'm basically trying to add right now all the missing pieces that I need. I recently picked up a big Jordan Tier 1 card. It should be, hopefully, I'm going to be able to go pick it up in person within the next month. And it was the Jordan Jambalaya.
Ooh.
I actually had made a deal for that card a couple of months ago before all the recent sales. So I'm very, very lucky to pick one. It was a BGS 9. And any chance you got to pick a Tier 1 Jordan card, it's going to be something you can't pass up.
34, Frankie. 34 of them. Over 10,000. 1 in 10,000 pack odds. Yep. You're talking about a card. Frankie, it's been graded. Oh, my God. It's been graded
very few times.
179 times total between PSA and BGS and SGC. And that's including cracks and resubs and all that other crap that happens that you and I know about. This card is not serial numbered, but damn it, this card is very rare. And now you and I are in the same club. So I'm happy to be in that club with you. It is an amazing card in hand. So you said you bought a BGS 9. So that's going to beg the question, right? I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask the next question, which is, are you going to crack it and resub it? Are you going to cross it? What are you going to do? You don't get any credit on that set registry that we're looking at. And by the way, Frankie is number 11 on the Jordan Super Set ranking. And Frankie, correct me if I'm wrong. When you say 5,000, you mean 5,000 unique Michael Jordan cards. You don't have like 419, 93 Fleer. You've got 5,000 unique Michael Jordan cards.
Whew. Yeah, that's correct. So the problem is that since I've been collecting for so long, actually about 95% of my collection has always remained raw. And of course, over the years, my philosophy has always been card first. Forget about the grade or forget about the grading company. I just want to get a copy of the card first. And once I decide that I want to get a copy of the card, then I'll just try to see which grade or which grading company is going to be, the right fit for my collection.
Sure.
So a lot of my stuff is either raw or graded by BGS. Also, a lot of the bigger cards are graded by BGS. For example, I have the 84 star rookie. I have it in a BGS 8. So I still haven't crossed that one.
I mean, first of all, that's a humongous card. First of all, let's just be very clear. So when I'm looking at these cards, if it's listed here, that means you have it. But if I don't see a picture of it, that means it's not in a PSA slab.
No, the way the registry works, if you see the picture or you see the grade on the right side of the columns, those are the ones that I have registered. The ones that are blank are basically the checklist on the registry.
This is the super set. So you're going to see all 5,000 or 12,000 or whatever number of cards. You're going to see all of them. The ones you have are the ones that are actually lined out right here.
The ones that I have graded by PSA,
Okay. So you're sitting on a BGS 8 84 star, and we didn't answer the question. Let me let you go back and answer the question about the Jambalaya. What's the plan?
I think I'm going to cross it. I'm going to try to cross it. I know that I'm going to be probably be hit with a lower grade. So it's going to be basically a factor of how low of a grade. If it's one grade down, I wouldn't mind a PSA 8.
Yeah.
But if it goes down to a 7 or a 6, then, then value-wise, it doesn't make sense to cross.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah. I've got, this is an interesting story, and I haven't announced it on the channel yet, so you'll be the first time I'm talking about it. I also picked up a Tier 1 Michael Jordan card. It was also a BGS 9. It was a Playmaker's Theater. I got a Playmaker's Theater, and I am wrestling with the exact same. The reason I was waiting to hear your answer, and you gave me the exact answer I'm going to give. If my BGS 9 Playmaker's Theater crosses to a PSA 8, I'm on board. If it crosses to a PSA 7, I'm not. I don't know if it makes sense or doesn't make sense, but for whatever reason, that's the way I feel. Sounds like you feel the same way about that Jambalaya. Yeah, I don't know. You're not going to crack it and sub it. You're actually going to cross it. You don't want to take any chances cracking that thing.
Yeah, I don't want to take a chance right now.
Same.
I mean, if I'm gonna do a graded card review with them, probably at the next national for it,
That's what I'm going to do.
and see if I can get the 8. If I can get the 8, then I have no problem crossing it, and I
Same.
know I'm gonna get hit with a huge fee anyways. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but it just doesn't make sense value wise to
Mhm.
go from a 9 to a 7, even if it's PSA,
Yeah.
because a PSA 7, it's not gonna be near the value of a BGS 9
That's
anyway.
right.
And
Will it be one day? That's a question. Everybody wants to know. Maybe it will. Maybe we're getting
maybe,
even closer and closer.
right now, one of the things that I would like the registry to do is to see if PSA can work something out, maybe with Beckett and SGC. I know that they now have SGC under the same company, so they do something in coin collecting where PCGS, which is collectors or PSA's coin grading arm,
Yeah.
shares a registry with NGC Coins, the other company that grades coins. So you can actually add coins graded by both companies to the same registry. Now they're gonna have different values. So PCGS coin is always gonna be worth more or add more points to the registry than the
Sure.
NGC version, but you're able to add them both, and you can actually create a master, like a master list of everything you have graded. I would love for PSA and Beckett to work something like that out. I mean, it would be
Dude, listen
amazing.
to me. Listen to me. If they figured out a way to
Yeah.
make BGS cards count towards the PSA set registry, and even if you didn't get full credit, say you got partial,
Yeah.
maybe it's not 9 to 9 equal value, maybe it's 9 to 8, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they could somehow tie it to valuation. I think that would set the hobby on fire,
I agree.
specifically with, not so much the folks that are brand new to the hobby, because I don't think they're really into the set registry as much as you and most people are. Most of the
Yeah.
people in the set registry, vintage, pre-war, 70s, 80s, 90s, yes, 2000s to some extent, but like most of the people that came in like post-pandemic, I don't think they're digging the set registry right. But for folks like us, the first thing I'll say is I'll raise both hands. I'll go put every single card I own in. If they accept BGS cards, I'll put every single card I own in there. The reason I have it is because it's so damn maddening, because half the value of my collection, like you said, you're sitting on a freaking BGS 8-star 101, a absolute monster grail. I've got so many cards like that in BGS slabs. I would just be so frustrated if you were 11th and I was 12th. I just couldn't live with myself, Frankie, because all of my BGS cards.
I know, right? I mean, I really hope that they work something out on it. I
Yeah.
mean, it would be great I think it would be great for the hobby. Like you said, I think it would
Yeah.
set the hobby on fire right now.
I would talk about that every day. I would make a video about the PSA set registry damn near every week, because everything about it, I'm so jealous of you guys. If I had just started collecting yesterday, then I would be in the set registry forever and probably only buy PSA cards, but it's just too late. It's just too late for me to backtrack and do it that way. But I would love to be part of it. I'd love to be part of the conversation. It's like y'all are in the nightclub and I'm the dude outside that can't get in because the girls with me aren't pretty enough. And you're in there, you're Puerto Rican, you're always going to be in the club, of course, and I can't get into your club with you and all my other friends. So one day it would be nice if we could be in the same club. That'd be awesome.
I mean, I think it's going to be great for the hobby if they can work something out. I know they have done it before because I know they do it in the coins. They do it with the coins. So it's going to be, I don't think it's a matter of difficulty. I think it's a matter of if companies are willing to share their data, their grading data with each other.
You think PSA would be more apt to make that happen after BGS goes bankrupt in the next few weeks? Just kidding. Just kidding. Calm down, everybody. It's not out of the question that something happens at some point and there is no more BGS. And at that point, PSA is probably not threatened, although they shouldn't feel quite threatened by BGS right now, given the current state of grading and PSA being on top. But maybe one day, if BGS either merges or is acquired or just ceases to exist, maybe PSA would be less threatened, and then they would just like absorb it all and create this super registry like you're talking about. It'd be awesome, man. It'd be so cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, I don't know any, like inner company details or anything, but
yeah, me neither. I know
But
that.
the way we're looking at it from the outside in, I just think it would be something that would benefit the hobby as a whole.
Yeah.
So I don't think that, I mean, unless there's some kind of, of course, secret information or data points that neither company is willing to share or something like
Sure.
that, but looking outside in, I just see a plus for the hobby if something like that were to happen.
Frankie, what's the first time you ever graded a card? Do you remember the first card you ever personally submitted for grading, and who did you submit it
Yep.
to?
It was actually to BGS
I knew it.
back in
Me too.
2017 or
Okay.
2016. I had already bought graded cards, but I had never actually graded anything myself.
Yeah.
And the first two cards that I graded was my 1986 Fleer rookie, came back at BGS 7. And I think it was a Jordan Metal Titanium, the clear plastic one that's sideways.
Yep.
Those were my first two cards. And
Okay.
then I submitted my first two autographs, the two Wilt Chamberlain autographs that I have, also to BGS.
Is that Century Legends or a different Will Chamberlain?
Yeah, Century Legends
Century
and the
Legends? Yeah.
1999 retro.
Those are just too awesome. I mean, if I recognize, I don't know anything about autograph cards, but I know those two always jump out and smack me in the face when I see them, because I'm like, oh my God, that's Wilt Chamberlain's autograph on a relatively modern card. It looks so good with the blue ink. Yeah, let's share this again, because this is the set registry, and we'll wrap up set registry in a second. I've done a video on this. We don't know who number one is, but number one on the set registry is number one by a pretty damn vast margin. And he's only got 68% of the cards in. This is the super, right? The all-time finest super. Is that what it's called? The super registry?
The super registry, yeah.
Okay, this is a super set. The number one in the world, and he's been number one for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive years, and probably 7 after this year. Only has 68%. That's how vast this thing is. And so how obscure, not as a derogatory term, but just how rare and difficult to get your fingers on some of these MJ cards are that are in the super. Frankie, we know who number 2 is. That's Josh, right? Our good friend Josh Dawson, Northeast Sports Cards. I don't know number 3. Do you know number 3?
I know who he is, yes.
Okay, number 3. And then number 4, of course, is our good friend Stan from Wisconsin, from the not-so-great state of Wisconsin. Just kidding. I don't know number 4. I don't know Dan. You know what? I actually do probably know some of these people, but I'm not aware of what their PSA set register name is. Nat Turner is coming in at number 8. You're better than that, Nat. Get your weight up and start collecting some cards. Golden Age, Ryan, Angie, and then Frankie, you're right here, right ahead of some guy who's a Cubs fan, the only remaining Cubs fan. You're number 11 on the list. That's damn impressive, man. That is really freaking impressive. And again, Frankie's 11th. He has 5,000 plus unique Michael Jordan cards. Tell me about this process where you're inching up the set registry. You're making moves, and you can move ahead of 10, 9, 8. You may catch Nat. You're in the process of converting a lot of BGS and a lot of Raw, like you talked about the PSA. How has that process been? When did you start it?
It has been slow and painful. That's gonna be my my take on it. I basically started last year, and I decided that it just didn't make sense to keep Jordan cards raw, especially the ones that I have. Once you got rare inserts, number cards, and stuff like that, it just financially doesn't make sense to have them raw. I don't plan on selling my collection anytime soon, but I do know that eventually it's going to hit the market. Maybe 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I know that eventually they're going to get sold. And I want to know exactly the condition and the value of those cards when I do decide to sell them. Whenever you sell rare Jordan cards raw, you're leaving money on the table. There's no question about it. So I started the grading project as kind of, looking to the future. One day they're going to get sold or traded or whatever. So I don't want to leave value on the table. And the other was basically protection, to protect the cards. Now I chose PSA out of all the grading companies because, like Chris has mentioned before, I'm a huge fan of their guarantee.
Oh, it's big.
That's
it's rarely talked about, but it is huge, especially on the big boy cards.
It is very important. And I feel like that gives us extra security and extra protection for the cards. So I decided, why not? I'm gonna go do the registry at the same time. Now, there's one important point about the registry that's not often talked about, and it's the fact that it's actually incomplete. That list that PSA has right now,
Yeah.
it's missing a lot of cards.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I bought 3 different cards this Sunday at the Fanatics Collect auction.
Okay.
2 of the 3 cards are not listed on the registry,
Wow.
and they're
And it's
not
still
official
got how
cards.
many? How many does it have right now?
It has about 7,500 cards. I'm rounding it up a little bit. It has about 7,500 cards, and it's actually missing cards.
How many do you think it should have? Just guess.
Well, I'll give you a number to compare. Trading Card Database has over 15,000 unique Jordan cards. Now, if you take away the promos and the oddballs and the unlicensed stuff, it's still going to be probably around 10,000 to 11,000 unique cards.
Yeah.
So it's missing quite a big chunk of cards.
You're still chasing them even though they're not in there in the hopes that one day
Yeah.
they'll be added. Yeah, that makes sense. I would do that as well. That is fascinating indeed. What was the first submission you sent? Did you start with the big boys or you start with the babies? What'd you start with? How many did you send and how were the results on that first one?
Oh, that's gonna depend on basically on the grading offers.
Yeah.
I'm taking full advantage of that. Part of
Sure.
the reason why it's been taking so long, it's because I'm not sending everything at once.
Yeah.
Basically every month PSA has new grading offers. So whenever they do, like they did this month, a super express offer or an express offer, and you can save $20, $30 sending to that higher tier, then I'm gonna send more cards to that tier. Other than that, I'm usually sending value orders,
Yeah.
little by little. I'll give you an example. This is one set that I'm probably going to be submitting for soon. It is the MJ Live number 200.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's 30 cards that I have.
That's $700, man. That's
that can be
$700
added to the registry, and I have
Yeah.
the full set raw.
Yeah.
So once that set gets graded, it's going into the registry complete. I don't care if I get a 7 or a 6 on some of the cards. I'll grade them first, get the list, and then if I get the chance to upgrade, I'll do it later.
Yeah. Yeah. Any surprising grades good on the good side? Any cards that you sent in where you're like, damn, that's nice. One of those pleasant surprises where you're like, I thought this was a 7. It came back a 9, or maybe you pulled a 10 on something. How many cards do you think you've sent since you started this transition?
Probably around 500.
Okay. How many 10s?
Less than 50.
50? That's not bad. It's 10%.
That's not bad. I know.
Damn, Frankie, that's bad. That's not bad.
That's not
Listen,
bad. That's
spoiler
not bad.
alert. You ready?
Are 8s and 9s. So
yeah. I get the same kind of results. Here's a spoiler alert. Okay, I'm gonna give you some info that the channel hasn't seen yet. I've got 2 grade reveals coming up soon. I had a 31 card order and a 39 card order. All 70 cards came from a raw collection. All 70 cards were the same type of 90s basketball cards. All 70 cards were Jordan, Ray Allen, Olajuwon, Robinson, etc. Right? All the same stuff. It wasn't like some were from 2019 Prism where you should grade better. These were all the same types of cards. I sent it in 2 separate orders. The first order, the second order actually came back first. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. 54 days. The second order came back before the first one that I sent. It was the 39 card order. 70% of the cards graded PSA 9 or better, and I got 16 PSA 10s out of 39 cards.
Wow, that's amazing.
The next order came back 2 days later, and I got absolutely obliterated. I mean, when I say obliterated, I mean, I think there were way over half of them graded 7 or below.
Wow.
Completely opposite results. Same type of cards, same submitter, same process, same eye scrutiny. I didn't do anything different. I didn't, put any special cheating juice on any of them or anything. These are paper cards anyway, right? So just microfiber front, microfiber back, make sure there's no fingerprint and send it in. That's all I do. That's all you do, right? Yep. You put it in a penny sleeve, put it in a card saver. Maddening. And
it is.
PSA is an affiliate partner with the Cajun Cardboard channel. Let me get that out of the way, right? So yes, I'm bitching about them, but you know, everybody bitches about their grades. Here's the funny thing: as an affiliate partner who gets paid tens of dollars, right? People act like either when I do a grade reveal, they're either like, dude, you're just getting good grades because you're with PSA. And then, you know, sometimes I'll get terrible grades and people will be like, you're an idiot. You never should have submitted those cards. So either way, you know, I don't even know why I'm trying to share this content, right? Because it pisses somebody off one way or the other. So anyway, sorry for that side story. All right, so tell me about this process. Okay, so you maybe 500 cards, not the greatest results. But again, we've talked about it. These cards are probably 25 plus, almost all of them 25 to 35 years old. And so you sort of just kind of hope for the best. How many star cards do you own total?
Total, I have the full star card run. I have them.
Okay, which is like it's either 25, 24, 25, 26, something like that total.
Yeah.
I think that's right. And so how many of them do you have in PSA? Just the one?
One.
How's that process going to be? You're okay with that? Do they, by the way, has PSA started to grade all star cards now or not?
Nope.
Still not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. So my biggest issue with the star cards right now is that PSA seems to be a little bit inconsistent about how they're grading them.
Yeah.
And I think they need to get a little bit more of experience, you know, kind of look at more star cards over the years, and maybe they can narrow down a better, you know, grading spec or something for the cards. Because I had a BGS 7.5 that they told me that they would cross it to an 8.5. But then I had a 9 that I was told it would cross to a 6. And I'm like,
I have never in my life heard of a star BGS crossing to a higher PSA grade. Did you take them up on that offer at least?
I did take them up. I asked them, I mean, are you sure? I mean, I pointed them out, you know, the card is, you know, the centering of the card is not great.
Yeah.
You know, it's basically a BGS 7.5 because of the centering.
Yeah, they loved it, huh?
You know, but
I'll take
I was like, well, I mean, sure, I'll give you the card and let's do it. But most of my BGS collection though is actually BGS 9 of the Star collection. I mean,
dude, that's
so I have
great.
it is amazing, an amazing, beautiful collection. And the only lower grades that I have are going to be the BGS 8 101.
Yeah,
which I'm not complaining about that one. I never will.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's one of the most beautiful copies in existence. It's basically a BGS 8, but the subgrades are 9.5 basically for everything except centering.
Yeah.
So how does it go?
What did you think about PSA's recent change to their centering standards, essentially just bumping each grade 5%?
I think it was actually needed, and I think that they were actually already doing it.
I think so too.
Ago.
That's the first thing. Yeah, they were already doing it. Yeah,
they were already doing it. Yeah,
yeah.
But actually, I think it's a good thing, and I know this isn't going to be a popular hobby opinion. The way that they changed the grading standard actually makes PSA 9s and 8 more valuable.
No doubt.
Especially because we have seen some cards before. We all have cards in BGS, in PSA 9s, that we can't tell the difference from a PSA 10. So I think it's actually going to be good for the hobby in the sense that it's going to help them appreciate PSA 9s and PSA 8s more. And not only, you know, hyper focus on PSA 10s.
What if PSA said, hey, Frankie, every single BGS star card you have, let's just say you hypothetically, you know, send them for crossover review or whatever. And they say, look, we'll give you PSA 8 on every single one of these, except, you know, all the nines. Here's 19 BGS 9s. We'll give you 19. This is hypothetical, of course.
Yeah.
19 PSA 8s. You take that deal?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. What about 7s?
Depending on the card, yes.
All or nothing.
All or nothing.
19 BGS 9s just randomly. I know you got a couple of 8s in there.
I'll probably take the 7s anyway. Yeah.
It's tough. It's funny, you know, it's I mean, the numbers bear it out, right? I mean, we're not math geniuses, but
Yeah,
damn, you can open card ladder and see BGS 9, Jambalaya is this, PSA 7's this. Okay, that doesn't make sense. PSA 8's this. Okay, that does make sense. And that's
yeah,
how we kind of move through the hobby, keeping in mind that those values are not fixed. Those values tend to
exactly.
change over time, right? So we're always, either trying to, hedge the risk or absorb the risk, either way. It's funny about what everybody's okay with or not okay with. You and me are
Yeah.
probably really close on what we're okay with dropping from BGS to PSA.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, for example, for the star cards, I know that they're gonna get hit. I know I'm not gonna get a 9 to 9 cross, and I'm lucky if I get a 9 to an 8. A
Yeah,
9 to a 7 value wise, there's not that much difference.
it
And
should be close.
actually,
Yeah,
yeah, and actually, a lot of PSA 7 star cards are worth
more.
practically the same or
Mm,
more.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but when they come back and they go like from a 9 to a 5,
nah, pass.
that's
Yeah,
yeah, my definition of what a 5 should look like
yeah.
is not what I have. It's not the card that I have.
It's not. That's what I'm so confused about. Like in this last order, I told you I sent those 90 cards, those 90s cards. Like if it was a 5, like I would have known that it was a 5. I mean, I'm not a grader.
Exactly.
I get it, but like you're telling me I had like 9 5s in 31 cards and I didn't notice that any of those were 5 quality cards. There's just I've been doing this too long. Yeah, I've sent 25, 30,000, 40,000 cards. I was like, I know what a 5 looks like, for God's sakes, right? You can
Yeah,
look
I
in the
mean,
vintage world, you can pull up any vintage PSA 5 and look at it. My card never looked like that. So it drives me crazy, but it is what it is. All right, what's next? So you picked up a big tier 1 card, man. That's a Jambalaya, is a
yeah.
big boy card. Tell me about your Jordan collection. Tell me about the cards that tell me about the tier 1 stuff you got. You got the Jambalaya in hand and a high grade BGS 9. What else do you have in your collection? Let's talk Jordan stuff.
Well, tier ones are basically where most of the holes in my collection are. I do have the 101. I have a few legacy collections from Flair,
Yeah.
but most of the higher end cards are basically what I'm missing.
Yeah.
I have almost every tier 2 card and practically every tier 3 and below.
Yeah.
So the problem is that tier 1 is getting quite expensive.
It would have been nice if, instead of picking up the, 1990 Fleer All-Star back when in the
Yeah.
90s, you'd have picked up, the playmakers, the Jambalaya, fill in the blank, right? For a few hundred, maybe $1,000 instead of $100,000, now. It's crazy how much has changed.
Yeah.
And every year that goes by, we feel like, we missed the boat. It's too late, and then the next year
Yeah.
it's worth more, and the next year it's worth more, and the next year it's worth more. And we're seeing that with the tier 1 stuff, notwithstanding the 86 Fleer and the Star. Those are coming back a little bit, but mostly the other stuff, the super rare stuff.
It is. It
Well,
is.
we're starting to see it with the tier 2 stuff too now, man. And when
Yeah.
I'm looking at these graphs on Card Ladder, Frankie, for about a 9 to maybe 15 month period, it was all PSA 10s, PSA 10s, PSA 10s, PSA 10s, Jordans. They were going crazy. Only the PSA 10s. And man, I'm looking at charts now and I'm doing videos and kind of comparing 10s to 9s because I'm making that decision. Like when you're making the exact same decision when we're looking at an auction and it's a PSA 10 fill in the blank, Topps East-West refractor, right? Okay, it's a PSA 10 and we don't have it. Do I want to buy the 10? Well, how much is the 9 worth? And you look at the 9 and you're like, damn, it's like
Yeah.
12x what the PSA 9 is. I was like, give me the 9. And so
Give me
then
the
you
9,
start
yeah.
looking at the graphs and you're like, man, the PSA 9's up 40% over the last 2 years too. It's not just the PSA 10s. And I think that's encouraging. And I think what that is that's a sign of more people working backwards, just like I did. Your story's a little different. You collected through the 90s. You fell in love with Jordan from the jump.
Yeah.
I worked my way back into Jordan from the ultra modern world, like most people are right now. And I think they're just now discovering the 90s. They're just now discovering Jordan and Rodman and Pippen and Grant Hill and Penny and Robinson, Olajuwon, all those guys. Go down the list. Kobe, of course. And they're getting into it. And I think the demand for 90 stuff is really, really growing. And not that I'm biased.
No, definitely. It is growing. And you can actually see the demand when you have higher numbered cards from the 90s selling for more money than lower numbered cards from ultra modern.
Mm.
So when you start seeing that, that people are, taking notice of them.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing. I mean, part of the reason why I started grading everything was exactly that. I mean, at one point I caught myself buying graded copies of raw cards that I have because I thought that they looked better than what I had.
Yeah.
And then I said to myself, well, what am I doing? I mean, why am I spending extra money on stuff that I already have if
Yeah.
I don't know what condition and what quality
Let's at least find
the
out.
cards I have? Yeah, let's at least
Let's at
find out.
least find out. Why do I need to
Yeah,
replace this? Let's find out first. I don't know how
exactly.
you dude. Like, I respect you, and I know some of the greatest collections in the world are raw cards. I am a
Yeah.
100% graded card collector. I don't know how you fell asleep at night living on an island in the tropics with hurricanes all around you, and who
I
the
know,
hell
right?
knows what else, right? With raw Jordan cards, it would scare the hell out of me, Frankie. That's why I grade everything. I don't even keep the damn stuff in my house anymore. That's how scared I am.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
let Fanatics have it all. Take it, put it in my vault. I'm done.
I've been sending to the PSA vault and to the Fanatics vault,
Yeah,
most of my cards right now, and they just feel safer. I mean,
yeah,
I usually would like to keep all my cards with me,
yeah,
but right now it's just it doesn't make sense.
yeah.
It
Pros and
doesn't make
cons, and
sense.
when they're graded, they're bigger.
Yeah,
The scale is easily, 5,000 cards can fit in a shoebox. 5,000 graded cards cannot, and so
no,
the vault. There's pros and cons to vaulting. I say it all the time. I am a vaulter. I vault, right? But I understand the need for people to hold their shiny, treasures in their hand. It makes perfect sense. But there's also a lot of things about vaulting that make sense. What's been your experience vaulting with PSA and your experience vaulting with Fanatics? Has been good experience, positive so far? Any
it's been a
drawbacks at
positive.
all?
It's been positive so far. I mean, everything is very smooth. The process is very, very transparent. You
Yeah.
get notified when your submission arrives. You get notified when it's processed. You get high quality resolution pictures of the cards. And you get insurance.
Yeah. I
So
haven't had
that's
any issues. I'll be honest with you. Knock on
yeah,
wood, man. I've been doing this for years and years. Before COVID, I decided, nope, it's time. Get them out of the house. There's too much crap in Louisiana, alligators and everything else. Let's get these things out of here. And since day one, my cards have been in the Fanatics vault, and I've got a couple in the PSA vault as well. I've never had one single issue. I get messages all the time about people saying they lost my card, or the card arrived, but they haven't uploaded it for 15 days. And I'm like, man, all I can tell you is that's never happened to me. And I've got thousands and thousands of cards there, and I've submitted probably over 10,000 because I've sold
yeah,
10,000. It's never happened to me. It's always that if I ship the cards right and I take care of the cards, I get an email that the cards arrived. The cards are in my vault. The images are perfect. 99.9% of the images are perfect. I think twice I've said, hey, can you take another picture because there was
yeah,
something blocking it? Maybe twice. What I love, Frankie, is, I'm a collector investor hybrid. You're a card shop owner. If somebody is interested in some cards, or let's say I decide, all right, I'm going to move out of these cards and put the money towards something else. If I've got 5 or let's say 7 cards that I'm interested in selling, I can create a shareable link on the Fanatics Collect website in 30 seconds, share the link with the world if I wanted to, right? And everybody can see those
exactly.
7 cards, better pictures than I could ever take. And all I did was boom, boom, put the link together, boom, and share it.
Yeah,
It matters. If you're
it
moving
does.
quick, if you're moving quick in this hobby, vaulting helps in that way. If you like to hold cards, if you like to go to card shows and hand people cards, vaulting's probably not for you, right? So it's just a different path for different people.
It
When
is.
I'm
Other than that, basically, I got a couple of submissions back from some of the sets. I'm gonna show
show
you
us
one
some.
of
Yeah, let's
the
look at some
best
cards,
ones.
man. Okay, good. This is
This
great.
is the
Oh
Holding
yeah.
Court Red set, number to 2300.
Flip it. Is that the one that's Jordan front and Jordan back?
Jordan
Yeah.
front. Yeah.
That's the one that matters the most. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. This one followed by the Kobe.
Jordan Kobe. Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
yeah, Jordan Kobe. I had the Jordan Kobe too. Yeah.
So, PSA 8, I'm pretty happy with the grade.
That's
I mean,
great, Frankie. Those cards
considering the card
are
is made of wood.
what I was going
So,
to say. Those are wooden and they splinter on the edges. That's usually
yeah.
the problem.
So I got the full set. So part of the thing that I'm doing with the grading project is actually sending the sets completely as one submission because I want to get the extra bonus of having the serial numbers be
That's
all.
so cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You send them in order 1 through. That's a 30 card set or 30?
yeah, that's a 30
30.
card set.
So you sent all 30 in that order, 1 through 30.
Yeah,
Jordan's the last one, right? I
the
think.
last one. Yeah,
That's awesome. And you got the whole set and serial number to 100 graded. Jeez, that's a
this
big time
one's
set.
number to 2300. The bronze is number to 230, and I'm gonna start working on the silver to 23. So it's one of those sets where you have like 4 copies of the same thing. So,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
those sets. I know you don't like those sets that much, but
Well, I like that one. I love, I don't know what it is about this, man.
that's the bronze.
I love, that's awesome. That's the bronze right there, 230.
That's the
Yeah.
bronze PSA
Yeah.
9. So that's the one that.
Frankie, I love the cards that tell a story. And when
Yeah,
I say that, I'm talking about East West. I'm talking about the finest with Jordan and Kobe on front and back. I'm talking about the Jordan Pippen head to head. Like, I love cards that feature 2 players, top crop, player A on the front, player B
yeah.
on the back. I love those cards, those matchups. Those are so cool, man. Those cards are really, really cool. For some reason, I always gravitate to those types of sets.
They do. I mean, part of card collecting is actually telling a story. And when you can tell a story with your cards, it just adds that something extra, that extra value to the collection.
What's your favorite Michael Jordan card in the world?
My favorite one is actually the 1992 Topps Upper Deck MVP, the hologram that came in a box set. I just love the design of that card. Back then, it was Upper Deck, and the hologram technology was something that had never been done.
Yeah.
And just the colors and the way the action photo of Jordan on that card, it just looks incredibly amazing to me. It's a very simple card. It's actually a funny. I have a funny story about it because I had the raw card, and since they came in a box, they moved around a lot. So it's not uncommon to see them with a corner with a little bit of white, or with a ding corner. So in 2018, I decided to buy a PSA 10 of the card, just because
This is the hologram or the holojam?
No, the hologram, the team MVP hologram.
Like, you talk about like the AW. Oh no! Oh yeah. Look, I'm pulling up this fake grading company version. This one right here.
That's the one.
You got the PSA 10. The PSA 10 is a big
Yeah.
boy in that card now. I've looked at that and I've tried to pick it up. It's a big boy card.
It was funny because I bought that PSA 10 for like $50.
Unbelievable.
I mean, but this was back in
Pop
2017.
23. Pop 23.
Yep. They are incredibly hard to grade. You can see the
Yeah.
bulk of them are graded PSA 8.
2.29% gem rate. Yes, I love this card too. Yeah, I like this more than the AW1, AW4, and all that stuff. Those are cool.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong; those are very cool. But this one's even cooler. Yeah, I love this card right here.
I really like the way the color works on it. The action photo, the hologram looks very clear. So I bought that PSA 10 right before the pandemic started, like several months before, for like $50. And then fast forward a couple of years, and the card is almost a 5-figure card.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a 10. Damn, it is a 5-figure
there
card.
we go. It is a 5-figure
Well,
card.
it has been. It has been at one point. Yeah. Last one, that's not it. There it is. 5,850. Yeah. That's just, dude, it's a rare card, man.
That's just crazy. A crazy number for me for that card. I mean, never in a million years I would have thought that card would be worth that much in a PSA 10.
Do you ever feel the urge here? I want honest answer here. Do you ever feel the urge to just say, you know what, I'm into it for 50. It's worth, $6,000. I could sell it and buy a PSA 9 in a
for like $200
PSA label for $200.
For $200. Yeah.
Does that ever occur to you? I think about that all the time, and whenever I get those thoughts, I'm like, get out.
Get him out of my head.
Get out of here. Yeah. No, best in class. Best in class.
I mean, I've thought about it.
Yeah.
And I have been thinking about it a lot more recently, especially because most of the cards that I'm missing from my collection are tier 1 cards.
Yeah.
And if I can, sell a couple of PSA 10s, grab a PSA 9 or a BGS 9.5 or a BGS 9 of the card for thousands of dollars less and put that money toward, another tier 1 card, that's definitely an option. It's a way of basically saving money and just taking money out of your collection to add more money to your collection.
It's a way to grow your collection without feeling it in your
Yeah.
pocketbook. That is.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That is.
I did that. By the way, here I'm going to share with you my 1992 Upper Deck holograms on the screen. It's a little bit different than yours. It's an 8, which is like $40.
Yeah, I mean,
trillion.
It just doesn't make any sense. The value difference doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but man, what a card though! It's a gorgeous card, man. It really is. It really is. $30 value. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've thought about that, Frankie. Because I've got the opportunity. Because I was PSA or bust guy before this whole PSA 10 or bust started. Maybe 4 years ago, I started just buying PSA 10 everything, right? Because I was coming from the ultra modern world, and that's what the ultra modern world says: if you don't have PSA 10, you don't have a card. And so I kind of applied that theory. And so I was in on the PSA 10 Jordan 90 stuff very early, and I did very well. If I had the balls to do it, I could convert all of those 10s, just change them to 9s or BGS 9.5, and then push that money into getting the crazy rare stuff. And I don't care what grade I get it in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got tier 1 cards that are PSA 6s, and I am thrilled about it. In fact, I'd rather a PSA 6 than pay the price for the PSA 9 in a lot of cases on tier 1 stuff, because it's just so rare. Man, that's something that keeps you up at night. You start.
Yeah, it does.
Cards you could have.
It's definitely. I mean, if I can do it with enough cards that I can put that money toward buying, another tier 1 card, I'm probably gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna do it and take the downgrade to a PSA 9. I mean, some cards you can have in BGS 9.5, and it's still going to be like a $10,000 difference between
8
the
to
PSA
1
10.
ratio. I mean, I see 8 to 1 ratios on 9.5s to 10s.
Yep.
That's crazy. It's crazy. So anything else, Frankie? Talk to us. Anything else going on in Puerto Rico? I know you said Pokemon is crazy hot. I've got like 4 people that watch my channel that know what that is. I know you see dollars and cents. I don't think you play Pokemon, but maybe you do. But
I do know how to play it.
Yeah,
actually,
you better know how to play it. You got to talk to the people that come in and buy them. You got to at least talk to them about it. Do most people that buy the Pokemon play it?
No,
I didn't think so. That's weird.
No, right? It's a weird moment for Pokemon, and I think it's actually worth a shot. Analyzing the situation from a hobby perspective.
Yeah.
Because what's happening right now with Pokemon is we have more collectors/investors coming into the Pokemon world than actual players.
No
yes,
doubt.
the game is still very popular. We still have a lot of players. We recently had a local tournament here, and we even had people flown from Central America, from the United States, to compete on the tournament. I think the tournament had like 400 people in it.
Okay.
But the amount of people that are actually buying to collect or to invest in the cards, I would say it's almost 10 to 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the percentage of people that play in the NBA to the people that collect is like 700,000 to 1. So we can't really complain, right? You and me are about as big NBA collectors as possible. We don't play in the league, so it is what it is. But we may go play pickup. Well, man, thank you again for joining the channel. That's fascinating. Thanks for sharing your perspective on collecting and owning a card shop in Puerto Rico, but really for digging into the weeds and kind of helping explain the set registry. And man, I just keep thinking about if they could just combine and get a combined set registry. Comment, guys, if you're watching this, comment below, give us some support, because I really think that would blow it up and it would really help the hobby long term. To give people a leaderboard. Right now only the PSA folks have this leaderboard, but I want a leaderboard. I want to get in the mix, man. I want to get in there and get dirty and see where I rank and where I fit. And it's not just Jordan. All we talked about is the Jordan set registry. Frankie, there's tens of thousands of different sets. I mean, it's football, baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey, everything you can imagine. And I really think it would be a fantastic thing for the hobby if PSA would consider doing that and expanding that. That was a great topic, and I'm glad we talked about it today. Comment below
definitely.
and let us know your thoughts, guys.
It would. Hopefully this video gets them thinking, on working something towards that, because I think it's gonna give the hobby that extra gamification, kind of feel like you want to compete with others and you want to see who has the better collection. And I mean, that's part of collecting. We're always indirectly or directly comparing our collections and ourselves to other collectors.
That's right. And we can.
So I think it would be fun.
If you can quantify it, I think it really adds fuel to the fire. That would be really something. Hey, I'm right behind you. I know we've got a guy in a group chat that tends to talk trash to you and others because you're looking up at him in the ladder, right? And he thinks he's moving up, but we'll see. Just you better hope that we don't combine VGS in here, because I'm coming for him. He knows who he is. He won't watch this video. He doesn't know how to turn on YouTube, but
I know, right?
He knows I'm coming for him. Hey, I'm going to see you at the National in Chicago in July. Probably not before that. I'm assuming you're not coming to the States before that.
I'm trying to see if I can do Fanatics in New York.
Okay.
So but it's a month before the National, so we're trying to make both shows this year. Let's see if we can. But I'm definitely going to the National. I'll be there probably all week. We usually make a week-long trip out of it.
Yeah.
So definitely see you there.
Yep. I'm going to be there Tuesday to Saturday. We decided I'm driving up, which is a bitch of a drive, but I'm driving up. I think it's like 17 hours. So I'm going to arrive Tuesday evening and probably be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then maybe leave Saturday around lunchtime and head back. So like I did in Cleveland. So looking forward to it. Can't wait to see you there and all of our friends and meet up again and share some stories. Maybe we'll both pick up a tier 1 while we're there, tier 1 Jordan card while we're there.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Let's show up with just tons of cash. Let's think positively. Somehow, some way, we're going to show up with tons and tons of cash, and we're going to have so much fun finding the cards that we want.
I mean,
right,
if it's anything like Cleveland this year, where we basically ran out of money the first 5 hours.
I did. So. Yes, I did for sure. I will not make that mistake again. I will make the guy put the card in the back until I'm ready at the end of the show and do it, just so I don't. I felt so terrible. I was like, I got nothing. I got 72 hours left and I got nothing to do. I was like, better film some things. Frankie, thanks again for joining the hobby. We'll get you on again. I promise you. I'm gonna get you on before the National. We'll get we'll get you and a couple of others, mutual friends of ours, on, and we'll talk about pre-National prep, because everybody's got to do that, right? There's got to be a video on every single channel about how to prepare for the National. We're gonna do it here, but we're gonna do it better than everybody else. Deal?
We got a deal.
That's a plan. Guys, thanks again for watching another episode of Collector Spotlight with Frankie. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby, and peace.